let's review the 2022 iPhone SE. Welcome everybody to AppleInsider. It is Andrew here, and you can find me on Twitter at Andrew_OSU. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and subscribe and enable those notifications so you don't miss a single video. Apple, after quite a delay, has introduced a new version of the iPhone SE. The 2022 iPhone SE doesn't change a lot, but it changes what's important. With the 2022 iPhone SE, Apple updated a few things that'll make a crucial difference in the usability and longevity of its most affordable iPhone. The new iPhone SE 2022 comes equipped with the A15 Bionic processor. Because of that new internal silicon, it also has improved battery life and chip-powered improvements to the cameras. Also added is support for 5G. Across the board, between 5G support, the A15 Bionic, and new future software updates, the iPhone SE 2022 is going to last for many, many years to come. Let's walk through some of the specs of this, the new iPhone SE 2022. The iPhone SE 2022 keeps the same design as the second generation iPhone SE. Has a 4.7-inch LCD display which sits atop the physical home button. This is different than Face ID on the iPhone 13 lineup. That home button still uses Touch ID to authenticate and gain access to your phone. Additionally, it boasts IP67 water and dust resistance, so it should be able to take a tumble and still come out relatively unscathed. The new iPhone SE is available in Starlight, what you see here, kind of an off-white color. It's also available in Midnight and Product Red. It comes in 64, 128, and 256 gigs of internal storage. Apple did not upgrade the physical cameras. On the back, it's still a 12 megapixel shooter, and on the front, we have a 7 megapixel lens. Apple did upgrade the internals though, notably adding the A15 Bionic processor and support for 5G. But with a lot of things, it's all in the details. Let's start and talk about performance and that A15 chip, then move on to the cameras and day-to-day use. As I mentioned, Apple upgraded the internal chip to the A15 Bionic processor. This is notable for many reasons, but what is most important and crucial is that on Apple's cheapest, most affordable iPhone, it is including the same chip that includes on the highest end iPhone 13 Pro Max. There may be a difference in memory across the board, but the same performance and power that is found in the iPhone 13 Pro line is now found in Apple's cheapest phone. So if you pick up this iPhone for just over $400, you're still getting the same performance as a Pro iPhone user. And that's a huge deal. On Android handsets, they often clock down to cheaper chips to make them more affordable, but it costs you in the long run. There may not be as many software updates that are available to you because of that lower processor. So by putting in Apple's most powerful chip into this device, it ensures that it's going to work great now and it's going to work great for a number of years. And Apple promises to support it with software updates for many years to come. If you are someone who is looking for the iPhone that you want to last a long time, no longer do you have to buy a high-end phone to get that longevity out of it. You can buy an affordable handset and use it for many, many years. Additionally, the A15 Bionic processor is super power efficient, which Apple is able then to extend the battery life. Now, depending on your Wi-Fi usage versus cellular usage and gaming and everything else that you may do on your phone, your mileage may vary. But the important thing is Apple did improve battery life notably over the last generation iPhone SE. In my testing over the last several days, I've easily been able to make it through an entire day of use with the iPhone SE, just depending on how much stuff I was doing with it. That A15 Bionic processor also includes a new Apple-made ISP, or Image Signal Processor, which means it's able to help with the cameras on the back of the phone and the front of the phone as well. It enables new features like Smart HDR4 that's better in dynamic lighting situations, especially when it's very backlit or anything like that. Or it helps with things like photographic styles. With photographic styles, you can set your preferred look for a photo and it'll be automatically applied at the time of capture. It's something that I've been really liking on the iPhone 13 Pros, and it's pretty awesome that it comes to Apple's most affordable handset. What you do lack here compared to the other iPhone models is additional cameras on the back. The iPhone 13 has a 12 megapixel sensor, but it also has an ultra-wide sensor. And the 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max have the ultra-wide and a tele-lens in tandem with that wide-angle lens. But Apple knows that most people just use the wide-angle lens, which is where it puts most of its improvements in time. So as I've been using it for the last several days, I didn't notice the lack of tele or wide-angle lens or ultra-wide-angle lens all that much. Most of the time when I was shooting photos, it was just your standard wide-angle lens that everyone uses all the time. So it wasn't a huge deal that Apple doesn't have other cameras on this phone. For most people, that's a perfectly fine trade-off. One last new addition with the internals is Apple did bring support for 5G here, but it comes with an asterisk. Apple added 5G support here just like it added to the iPad Air recently. And in that, they're only doing it with sub 6 gigahertz bandwidth, not millimeter wave. Millimeter wave 5G is the one that is blinding fast, but it is also very limited. It's only available in very small areas and typically outside. So you don't get all that use out of it. Sub 6 gigahertz, on the other hand, is more widely available. And what you see when like T-Mobile is like broadcasting all over the US, that is your sub 6 gigahertz 5G network. So that is what Apple's bringing here, and it does just enable more compatibility across the board, and you should still see improvements in speed wirelessly. Look, with the iPhone SE, you know what you're getting. You know it because there's nothing new here. You know it because the body itself has been around for like 5 years, debuting with the iPhone 8. And you know because the new features that the iPhone SE does have are just borrowed from other devices, like photographic styles, Smart HDR4, and even 5G. Apple has these on other devices and they just brought them to their lower cost handset. So there's nothing entirely new that was developed for the upgraded iPhone SE. At the same time, you also know what you're not getting. And I think that can be more important. You know you're not getting an ultra-wide or telephoto lens. You know you're not getting the millimeter wave 5G. And you know you're not getting MagSafe. Of all those features, MagSafe is probably the one that I'm most upset about. MagSafe is a great feature on all of the other iPhones. And while I don't expect someone who's looking at a $400 iPhone to want a very expensive floating MagSafe charger, it's more about just family. So in our household, we have a communal MagSafe charger that the whole family uses. But if somebody has an iPhone SE, it won't work with that charger. And I think that is more of the bigger deal. I think it's unfortunate that Apple's new magnetic connectivity standard isn't supported on its newest iPhone. It's a problem, and I think Apple should have addressed it. But in doing so, Apple would have had to vastly redesign the phone, which at this point it still just wasn't willing to do. I don't think there's a problem with the iPhone SE 2022 looking like the iPhone 8. For a lot of people, that doesn't matter. My parents own a company, and when they go to upgrade phones, a lot of people just ask, I just want an iPhone, whatever the cheapest iPhone is, and they're happy with the iPhone SE. And if you visit your local Apple store and talk to representatives, they'll probably tell you that the iPhone SE has been flying off the shelves. And as I visited my Apple store, that was exactly the case, and I watched a lot of people buying an iPhone SE. For many people who subscribe to this channel, the iPhone SE isn't for you. Most people, a lot of people, aren't that interested in the fancy upgraded designs, Face ID, IP3 wide color gamut support, and everything else that Apple can tout on the high-end phones. They want a fast phone that's going to last a long time, that's affordable. And turns out, that's exactly what Apple has delivered. If you do want to grab an iPhone SE for yourself or for somebody else, I've got links for them down below in the description. Let me know what you think in the comments and on Twitter. Otherwise, stay tuned. I'll see you in the next video.